How are you doing, Agnes? You're looking well. I think there's somebody coming in, Agnes. We might have to wait until they're gone again, but do you get much business? I suppose nobody comes in now at all to the post office. Do you know the post office I remember was in Glevview? I don't think it's there anymore. They were lovely places. God, you're looking well, Agnes. I'll put my little hat there, if you don't mind. Oh, you look like somebody coming from a country and western dance. The Agnes I knew wasn't much like you. In Glevview at that time there was 4. How are you? Good to see you again. I'm back in the Glenview Folk Museum. Lord Jesus, it's full of stuff. But anyway, when I was telling, this is Agnes, by the way. I was telling Agnes that when I lived in Glevview, there was 4 people with telephones. And one of them was the holy priest, and then I'll forget who the other 3 were, but there'd be whoever was well off anyway. But the problem was, there was only one line, and it was called a tie line. So that Agnes there would get the owl call, and she'd say, "Hello, Glevview," and it might be, let's say, the hospital in Cavan, and it'd say, "Could you put me through to the priest?" And Agnes would say, "Hold on a minute, I'll see if he's there." And she had an owl kind of a ring thing, and she'd go 1 for the priest, and she'd go 2 for somebody else, so that if you were in the house, you'd hear the thing going, brrr, and you'd say, "Oh, that's the priest getting a phone call." Or if it went 4 times, you'd say, "That's the garage getting a phone call." Who'd be ringing the garage now at 10 o'clock at night? It couldn't be after 10 because it closed down. Agnes used to close the whole thing down. She used to have hot milk and go to bed. But you always knew, and if you picked up the phone, supposing it was a tie line and it rang 4 times for the garage, and supposing you were number 3, well, if you took up your phone, you could hear the conversation because there was only 1 line. So it was a very highly political job to have. It was like being chairman of the United Nations, to be in Agnes's position. And you can see there she's wearing her "Hello, Cavan 89. That's what we used to say when we were in night porters in the hospital in Cavan. And we had one like this. I remember this switchboard here. And you'd get the calls in, and you'd pull whatever little one it was for the medical ward, or was the medical ward. There was another ward. It wasn't the maternity ward. It was the maternity ward, now that I think of it. Or was it surgical and medical? I think it was surgical and medical. Anyway, it was very similar to that. And when I went to England, to London, I got a job with Ingersoll Rand, and there was a big flashy one of these things, switchboards. And I pretended I knew. They said, "Did you ever work one of them before?" I said I did. I worked with loads of places with switchboards, but I could never get the handle on it, and I got sacked after about 2 days. I was putting phone calls through to the wrong person. Now, Agnes never did anything like that. Agnes was perfect, discreet, politically wise, and she always knew how to handle abuse. So being a postmistress in those old days was an extraordinary job of politics. And you can see that it didn't worry Agnes at all. And here I am. And there was another thing I used to do one time in Crostoni one summer. I was the postman, and I never had a hat. I think the hats were too small for me. But anyway, I'd say they're the hats for the postmaster. Will I make a cup of tea, Agnes? What? I will, aye. I'm going to make Agnes a cup of tea. I'll see you later. Be back next week. Good luck.